Bob Grissom asked me to be your master of ceremonies for today. And when Bob first asked me, I gave that a lot of thought about, wonder why he'd asked me. Then I figured out the reason. I am the oldest one on the board of directors of the HOACGA. So he asked me out of respect for my age, I guess. You know, that's a terrible thought when you realize you're the oldest in any group. I should have realized that, though, a few months ago when Joanne and I went back to Williamsburg, Virginia for Christmas, to Colonial Williamsburg. And we were on the airplane, and when the hostess came through serving drinks, when she got to me, she said, coffee, tea, or Geritol. Someone once said that you're getting old when your favorite night spot is your lazy boy chair in front of your TV. And I find that's more true all the time. Another sign you're getting old is when all the names in your little black book are doctors, dentists, and chiropractors. But there's some benefits to getting older also. As you get older, there's more appreciation for a pretty flower, for a good meal, for all kinds of things, for a beautiful piece of Carnival Glass. Milton Berle, old Uncle Milty, even said that sex is better when you get in your golden years, especially the one in the wintertime. On my bookshelf at home, I have a book that's called 50 Who Made a Difference. And that book is about 50 individuals who, during our lifetime and in the early part of this century, did something that has affected all of us. Names like Churchill, names like Jonas Salk, names like Franklin Roosevelt, and other names. In our Carnival Glass world, we have names that have made a difference. 6 names. There's Britt, there's Whitley, there's Schrader, there's Kramer, there's McGee, there's Grissom. Today we are adding a 7th name to that list. We're adding the name of Loescher. And I'm glad Bob asked me to be Master of Ceremonies because I think it's a real privilege to be here to honor George and Mavis. It says that some wise man once said that we're to live our life so that our memories are a great part of our happiness. And if you've ever talked to George and Mavis or heard them talk about their lives, their memories are much of their happiness. The time when George found his aqua strawberry bowl, things like that. The experiences they've had in their church and with their family. Their memories are much of their happiness. And it's a real honor for me to be Master of Ceremonies today for this occasion. But we have 3 individuals here today who have known George much longer than I have known him, and they've known Mavis. And they're going to talk a little bit about this couple who have been married for 47 years, who have spent 34 years in Carnival Glass, who have 4 children, even 2 great-grandchildren, 7 grandchildren. So they have some beautiful numbers. But these men right here know more about them than I do, so I'll call on Carl Schrader and let him start by telling you what he knows about George and Mavis.
Thank you. I hope you have a long time that you're willing to sit and listen to this, because I do know a lot about George, more than Mavis. But I call him Holly, and he calls me Barry. When we first started collecting Carnival, it was hard to remember people's names. So we started to call each other Carnival names, and that way we could remember who we were and what, of course, we were doing at that time. Now, George has always been the type of person that you could go to, and if you didn't get to him, of course, he would be to your house before you got back to get to his house. And this happened at our place. We were just starting out, and of course George came because he thought, oh, there's a ripe one for me to go and get some bargains and so on. So it was fine. And we went down in our basement. And I want to thank you again, George, for spending $10,000 that I could have bought more Carnival with. But we stored our Carnival under a ping pong table and under a pool table in chicken boxes. And he came and shamed us out, naturally, for not having the Carnival out. So after he left, Fern and I got together and we said, well, I suppose we better make some cabinets and please George so that he'll come back again. So that's what we did. We put in the cabinets and went ahead and fixed our basement. It cost us $10,000. And I hope someday you come back and we have dedicated that to you, George. So thanks. Thanks a lot. You know. But George turned out to be a good Christian. When he lived in Beloit, Wisconsin, he found out that in the baptism part of the church across the street from him was a Carnival bowl that was used to baptize the new members or the babies that came to the church. Well, if you know how George seeks out Carnival Glass, he went one Sunday and they had baptism, and of course after church he went up and found out that yes, that was a Carnival piece of glass. So it didn't take long for Mavis to talk him into becoming a good Christian, which he is still today. But he only went because after they got through baptizing him with his bowl, he went and you know, usually you get the baptism napkin or towel and stuff, but George took the bowl. So yeah, and he sold it. But that's a true story. But unfortunately, as he's getting older, naturally he's getting a little slower. In fact, Mavis says for him to watch 60 minutes now it takes 2 hours. So. And I know he's slower because last night I was trying to tell him a Norwegian story, and I don't think he still has it, but I'll try it with you. But I was trying to ask him if he knew how you told a regular Norwegian from a gay Norwegian, and he still hasn't figured it out, but the answer is the regular Norwegian likes butter, but the gay Norwegian likes ole. All right. Well, anyhow, we have known this fine couple for well, ever since probably in the 74s when we first came to this first convention, and I know that a lot of people dislike them, and we are that way too. We dislike them too, but in the end, we love them. So congratulations, both of you.
I'm going to ask Floyd Whitley.
As you know, I'm a man of few words. I used to could give about a good 30-minute speech. I could spend 10 minutes on Cecil, and 10 minutes on Dr. Sinclair. Cecil bought a pistol and Sinclair cut off his ponytail. So I'm good for about 5 minutes, and that's all we're going to do. George, I've always considered you the kind of one of the Arnold Palmers of Carnival Glass. You weren't careful whose ball you hit down the fairway, but you have played a good game in the Carnival world, and it's with a lot of pleasure that, especially that Cecil and I see you get this award. And we think you deserve it. We're very appreciative to the club. We received ours in 1994, was it, Cecil? 1994, and since that time, George, Loescher, and Mavis have been to our house 3 times. And 3 times we have had to send the police all the way to Wisconsin to bring our vase back. So you can see that he's going to appreciate the one he receives. One of his great accomplishments, George had learned early on how to fold up Carnival Glass and get it in his pocket and not break it. And, which I think is a great accomplishment. George, we're happy to see you get the award. Come see us again anyway. You won't be so nervous about, trying to steal our vase.
The Grissons were last year's recipient of the award, and I'll ask Bob to say a few things. Well, it is an honor for HOACGA to present such an award. It's an honor that we have been able to present these awards to several of our members that have been well deserving. But in 1993, the HOACGA decided that, well, we had such an honored person, a person that had given so much to Carnival Glass, and that was John and Lucille. And in a conversation that I'd had with Richard Sinclair one day, he suggested that some recognition needed to be paid to the Brits. So that's was the impetus for starting the John and Lucille Britt Award for Excellence in Carnival Glass. And since that time, as was stated earlier, there's been 6 awards made. And we know that the 1999 recipient is a well-deserved recipient of this award. Those of you that know George and Mavis know that George is very active in pursuing his hobby of collecting carnival. And I know that they have probably driven many thousands of miles searching out those on a rumor just to search out a piece of rare and unusual piece of glass. And I imagine on most of those forays that you had out there and looking for that glass that you come back with most of the pieces that he's been looking for. If not, he probably went back again to look for it. So those of you that have heard George present programs for the different conventions, educational programs, banquet speakers, know that he is a very good speaker. He presents a very good program, and that is from knowledge and experience. And we are very glad to honor such a person. George and Mavis have been active members of Lincoln Land and a lot of the other clubs, but probably primarily in Lincoln Land for since the formation of that. I think George has served as president for 6 years, and Mavis served as the vice president for 8 years. And since that time, they have also been very active in all of the different activities of that club. Mavis has spent a lot of hours writing an article for Lincoln Land called Been Thinking. And I know that she's put a lot of hours in that thought-provoking articles that she writes for Lincoln Land. And George has also contributed some articles lately to some of the magazines. And I think he should be encouraged to continue writing his articles for the various clubs, because George has some very unusual and unique experiences in his collecting, and he has a very unique way of telling those tales also. They may be just like he told Richard Sinclair today. I think it's a story, and maybe some of these are just stories that George presents, but they sound good anyway, George. So I think it would be good information to have for the future collectors to know some of George's experiences. And on Monday, I think George and Mavis will be celebrating their 47th wedding anniversary. And they have
In the last 26 years, they have spent 25 of those years at HOACGA celebrating their anniversary. So you know where Carnival, what the priority is for Carnival Glass in their lives. And we are very glad to have them with us in each of their anniversaries. George and Mavis, I know that Lucille is very honored to present you with this award. And the last couple of weeks ago we were down and she was very, we talked about this and she was very pleased and smiling about being able to give this award to you. And I know that if John were here, that he would be glad of that too. So at this time, Lucille, would you present the award to George and Mavis?
Mom and I do want to congratulate George and Mavis on this award and thank them for the many contributions they have made to the Carnival Glass world. It is an honor for Mom and I to present you with this award.
Nobody else gets it either. Thank you. You want me to say a few words?
Yeah, say a few words would be great, either one.
Well, I'm not usually the speaker of the duo here, but I sort of felt like when we were first notified that we would receive this award, it was almost like we're going to get an Oscar. It was like running around for days, you know, like, wow. And so we don't take this lightly, and we do thank you for your even considering us for it, and we're happy to have Mr. Fenton present for this time in our life, and especially to have Lucille and her daughter present this to us. And Lucille just mentioned that being here is like being at a family reunion, and that's what everybody has kind of become. So we thank you, and the one thing that would make it better would be if John was here.
Well, I'm not going to make much of a speech today, so you can applaud for that one too. I'm just going to say a few words. This has been a good month for Mavis and I. It's been a good year, the end of last year and this year. I don't know how, we got the letter, I think probably in October, that we will be the recipients of this award. And like Mavis said, you just don't know what it means to us. We can sit here and ramble on, but it's not something you can buy, folks. You earn the right to have that, and I don't think we've earned that right. You are. At the end of, I got the letter, I think it was like in October, and Mavis said we were so excited that at the end of October, the 30th, I had a heart attack. So I don't need any more awards. They took me into I was in ICU for one day, and on Saturday following Thanksgiving, I had to have a quadruple bypass. The Carnival Glass didn't really mean a whole lot at that time. I just wanted to survive so I can get to this meeting and get my award. But so it turned out to be a good thing. The heart attack wasn't, but the survival of it and be able to be here. I think it happened a few years ago where Chuck lost his missus and she was unable to attend. So I'm very pleased. This month has been an excellent month for us. The 17th day of April, we renewed our wedding vows. Vows. We renewed our wedding vows, not our bowels. And the kids wanted, I think one daughter said, she didn't say it, but she's afraid Dad wouldn't make it till the 50th wedding anniversary, so we'll get this one out of the way early. They asked us what we were going to do on our 50th wedding anniversary, and how are we going to celebrate? And Mavis said, if you want to celebrate with us, you got to come to the heart of America, because that's where we're going to be. And they got her right. We started chasing Carnival Glass, just how things can go. We started chasing Carnival Glass in 1965, in the month of July.
And the first time we went out, we had a little red Volkswagen, and Mavis was in the front seat. I think, had we adopted the kids out by then? Mavis got rid of them. They were taking too much money for Carnival Glass, so it was taken away from our hobby. So we got rid of the kids. We went out in our little Volkswagen, came home with that thing just stuffed with things, mostly Irish and herringbone, Floyd. Yeah, I want you to know that. So we said, well, the vehicle isn't big enough, let's get to something larger. So the next move was an 18-wheeler. And we got that full, but now it's so hard to find the good things, but so much available, beautiful things in these rooms. And tomorrow, I guess there are going to be a few cheap pieces sold at auction. Yeah. So anyway, now we're down to a moped with a buddy seat and a little brown Piggly Wiggly brown paper sack to carry ourselves home in. Whitley was pretty good to me today. I thought he was going to be a lot rougher on me than what he was. But I don't know if you knew, Whitley was an all man. Did I get the right all man? All man. I'm trying to learn how to talk like they do in Texas. All man. But a number of years ago, Floyd went into the cattle business, and he had a bunch of cows that he wanted bred, and he had this bull that he really liked, but the bull was kind of old, and Floyd didn't think that bull could handle the chores. So he went to the veterinarian and he told him about the situation. It's a good bull. He sires a good calf, but he is getting kind of old. Is there anything we can do to pep this bull up? So he gave Floyd some pills. So I asked Floyd, I said, what did them pills look like? And Floyd says, well, I really don't know for sure, but they had a peppermint taste to them. Yeah. And then being a retired all man, to get it right, all man, he went to writing country music. And so he called me and said he's going to be a country music writer. And I told him, that's fine. But you remember, Floyd, they got to rhyme. It's got to rhyme. Oh, yeah, he knew that. So he called me back a few days later and he said, I got the perfect country music song. And I said, well, that's great. How does it go? He said, well, it goes something like this. He said, I went down to the river, threw my clothes in the grass, waded into the water till it went up to my knees. And I said, Floyd, knees and grass, that doesn't rhyme. He said, if the water would have been deeper, it would have. I wasn't going to talk this long. This is fun. You're laughing. It's good for what ails me. Carl, lives in Kendall, Wisconsin, and nice little burg. And Carl, when he's not chasing Carnival Glass, he's the 911 operator up there. And he gets a call here. Now, it's an Ole and Lean, a joke, and I'm really stepping out of line here using, Ole and Lean, a joke. But anyway, he gets a phone call at 911, and it's Ole, and he said, I've lost my wife, Lena. And Carl said, where do you live at? He said, on Eucalyptus Street. And Carl said, could you spell that for me? And dead silence. And pretty soon Ole comes back on the phone. He said, I tell you what I'll do. I drag her over to Oak Street. This is another Ole and Lena joke. They had a good friend. Now, I'm Swedish, half Swedish, so I kind of relate to some of this. I had an uncle named Sven. Anyway, Sven went by Ole's house, and he seen a sign out there, a great big sign, boat for sale. So Sven went back, and he said to Ole, Ole, you don't have a boat. He said, all I see in the front yard, he says, is an old John Deere tractor and a combine. And Ole said, yeah, and their boat for sale. My wife said, that's enough. I had a couple of more, but I don't think we'll use them. On a serious note, and I'm going to try to get this without a tear in my eye, but John Britt, when I say John Britt, I include Lucille, but to say all of it runs too long. So I'm going to say John Britt. My first meeting with John Britt was in December of 1970. That goes back a few years. I used to sell Carnival Glass on consignment for people in the area that didn't want anybody going into their house. So I would haul it home and I would list it and sell it for other people. How they let me in their house or why they did, I will never know, but they did do that. But in 1970, I got a call from John Britt. And he bought a town pump that I had for sale that belonged to Mrs. Dorothy Wilrett from DeKalb, Illinois, and he paid $300 for it. He must have liked what I shipped him, because then in February of 1971, he bought a pastel blue, another one of her items, a pastel blue grape and cable centerpiece bowl for $325. I think he knew he had a live one, and he called me back again and bought an aqua opalescent good luck bowl for $135. And then he bought a green grape and cable candle lamp for $250. Now, that's how farther I went back, because I got a list of a lot of things that John got, not that were mine. They said, gee, you've owned a lot of glass. No, I've handled a lot of glass. But through all of this, I got to know John. And John, as far as I am concerned, was one of my best friends in Carnival Glass. But you know something? He was a friend to all collectors in Carnival Glass. It wasn't just George Loescher. If you had a problem, and I had a lot of them, a lot of questions, I was wanting to learn. Back when we first started was Reverend Wolf, and it was Joe Olson, and a number of people that I could always call on, and they could give me advice. It wasn't always good, but they were always trying to help me, and I appreciate that. But you'd call John Britt. He hardly ever answered the phone. It was always Lucille. She was the first one you talked to, and I love her with all my heart. But she would get John on the phone. He was always in the basement. Now, I don't know if he was down there working or she had him locked up. But, well, John's in the basement. Well, that's where he always was. You don't have to repeat that to me. But he would come up, and if I had a question on something, and he was always there to help me. And I don't know if I've got this written down or not, but I'm going to tell you something, folks. I miss that help that he used to give to me. An awful, awful lot. This award that Mavis and I have been presented with today is really quite fantastic. You think about it, you can't buy it. I don't care how much money you got in your pocket, you can't own it, you've got to earn it. And I don't feel as though we did earn it, but like I said earlier, apparently whoever the voting membership thought we did. And we love it. I could go on a long time about the hobby, about John, but time doesn't permit. But I'd like to say just a few things, that this was a man, and this comes from my heart, repaired or whatever, that I could call him my friend, and it meant an awful lot to me. I feel sorry, and I really feel kind of sad for a lot of you people sitting out there, and ones that will be sitting there in the future, that never had the pleasure of knowing him. You never knew him. You might have saw him running up and down the hallways. He was always a step ahead. I swear there were 6 of him. No matter what room I'd go into, he was there. He was a very ambitious man, very ambitious. He was on the ball. And Mavis and I had got to know him so well, and he was the funniest man I've ever met in my life in some area. He was just so comical. But I got to meet him and Lucille, and to know him and to say, hey, we love you, because we really do. For you collectors that are here today that didn't really know him, there's a few of you started, and thank God for you, but you'll never know the man, this earthly, where we live. You will someday if you go to heaven. You'll meet John. But he left behind, I'm not too good with my English. I'm not from Texas, Boyd. I don't know good words. You know that. Yeah, I should go down there and learn and then come back. Yeah. But he did so many things. There are other people that wrote all these articles and did this research, but I don't think anybody did it any better than John Britt. And his research and his writings are all recorded for the benefit of all you people in Carnival Glass. So you won't know John in person, but if you look at the books and all the things he's done, generations will know what he accomplished. generations will know what he done for Carnival Glass if you just pick up on it and take his advice. I can't think of anything else to say. I can, Floyd. Yeah, I can, but I'm not gonna. No, because you're giving me the old eye to get off of here. Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, thank you. But just in closing, want to clap, Floyd? I said in closing, want to clap? Okay. In closing, this award is so appreciated. You can't begin to know it. You can't. There's no way. And I want to thank whoever was dumb enough to give it to us. From the bottom of our hearts, we are truly thankful. Thank you again. That's all I can say. Just many, many, many thanks.
Mavis said she felt like they had won an Oscar. Well, the movies have their Oscars, and television has its Emmys. Baseball has its Cy Young Award. Football has its Heisman Trophy. But there have been hundreds of those awards given out. There have been 7 of these given out. And so, Mavis, this is better than an Oscar. Bob, I'll let you finish up.
Well, Floyd said he ought to get a second chance at him, but that could go on and on. But we do appreciate your coming, and we do feel an honor that we can present such an award to George and Mavis, and we're honored that you are here with us, and we have been honored that you have spent the many hours that you have with us, and hope that it continues on for another 25 or 26 years. Thank you.
When you came in today, some of you dropped your ticket into a little sack with your name on it, and we said there would be a door prize, and Ed Kramer is responsible for having Mavis pull out a name.
Cindy Kramer.
Well, thank you for all of you for coming. Just as soon as we can get over and get set up in about 15 minutes, we will have our annual meeting, and if any of you would like to attend that, we would sure welcome you to come, and we will go over the records of what we've done this year. And George is going to say one closing thing, and then you're dismissed.
I thank you again for your time, but in closing, if you'd like to come up and, drop a little token in this thing as you go out the door. No change, please. And if you need, $100 bill broken, we can handle that, or you can put it in here. But it will hold quite a bit, and I'll be right in the front. Thank you.